Right, welcome people, welcome to JP Boxing, the place where we're just talking boxing all day, every day, whether it be boxing news, boxing debates, boxing topics. We talk about it all here at JP Boxing. Now, I'm dropping a big video for you all to delve into today, as we haven't got a lot of boxing coming up the next 2 weekends. I thought I'll give you something to keep you entertained if you want to watch it. It's a debate and a topic that people have been talking about for as long as boxing's been going, pretty much. The pound for pound top 10, which means, of course, I'm sure you know, the best boxers in the world currently, top 10 out of all the weight divisions. Some people like to say if everybody was the same weight, who would be the best fighter. So yeah, I'm going to give you my top 10. Then you can come back to me. Let me know if you agree or disagree with who I've got in there and the order I've got them in. So yeah, that's enough jibber jabber. That's enough introduction. Let's jump straight into it and give you what you tuned in for. I'll start at number 10, of course, and go up to number 1, the best fighter on the planet. So yeah, number 10, I've got David Benavidez, the Mexican monster. 29-0, 24 KOs, 27 years old. Some people might say it's a little bit too early to have him in there, but I think for me, what I like to do, I might as well get that out there whilst I gave you the number 10, the first fighter on the list. Achievements obviously have to come into it. Wins on their resume have to come into it. But I do like to put a bit of the eye test in there as well. Because, come on, man, as boxing fans, as humans, we could see who the better fighters are. Sometimes there's a guy who just hasn't been given that opportunity to fight the very best yet. Like David Benavidez wants to fight with Canelo so badly. He hasn't been given the opportunity to go and get that pound for pound win. But I believe he's got enough good wins on his resume with looking brilliant on the eye test that warrants him in there. If you look at his wins, he battered Caleb Plant, did a better job on Caleb Plant than anybody else has done, Canelo included. Some will say Canelo got him out of there and knocked him out. But that was an even fight before that. People tend to forget about that now. Caleb Plant was actually outboxing Canelo for a lot of that fight. Canelo obviously did very good and got a very good knockout and stoppage at the end of it. But David Benavidez pretty much dominated and battered Caleb Plant for the majority of the fight. 9 rounds to 3, 8 rounds to 4 type fight. So yeah, that showed the level he's at. Obviously, then battered Demetrius Andrade, stopped him too. He's now gone up to light heavyweight and beat Gvozdyk, a very underrated, talented fighter. And David Benavidez, man, he's just hungry for the best fighters. He wants Better BF, he wants Bivol, he wants Canelo. And as soon as he gets one of them, he might show us that he's even higher up those pound for pound rankings. But in terms of eye test, he's looked brilliant. He's dominated everyone he's fought so far. So yeah, that's my number 10. Number 9, another guy a lot of people might not have in there just yet, but I think fully does deserve to be in there. This guy, he's just not a massive name, so some people might even be, who is this guy? Junto Nakatani, a Japanese fighter, 28-0, 21 KOs. He's only 26 years old, but he's already a freeweight world champion. If you look at his names on his resume, you might not recognise a lot of them, but it's because a lot of these little guys don't get the limelight. But he's beaten world champions, he's beaten a lot of world-class fighters, and the way he disposes of them, man. Go and watch his knockout of Andrew Maloney from a year or so back. Phenomenal. His last knockout, I think it was a first or second round job against another world-class fighter, Arislava. If I'm saying that right, I apologise if I'm not. And yet he just takes these people apart and wins with ease. So the eye test, he fully fucking passes. For a banter or whatever, is he a super bantamweight or... He's a flyweight turned bantamweight, and he's been knocking people out like he's a fucking cruiserweight or heavyweight. Phenomenal power, phenomenal fighter. Junto Nakatani, my number 9. Now, number 8 upwards, I think I can't see anybody disagreeing with the top 8 that I've got, if you get what I mean. Like, 9 and 10, there's probably a good few fighters you could have in there. Like, honourable mentions, I've got Shakur Stevenson, Jai Opetaia, Devin Haney. There's probably a few other guys that you could make a case for 9 and 10 and taking Nakatani and Benavidez out. But for me, who I've got from 8 up to number 1, I think if they're not in your top 10, then you're doing something wrong, buddy, unfortunately. But yeah, number 8, Gervonta Tank Davis. I know a few people will have him higher. 30-0, excuse me, 28 KOs, 29 years old. Some people would tell you he's a freeweight world champion. He is only a 2-weight world champion, super featherweight and lightweight. He did go up to light welter and beat Mario Barrios, which is a good win, but it was a regular title. It wasn't a world title, so he's a 2-weight champ. But again, when it comes to the eye test, when it comes to pound for pound power, this guy is right up there. Might even be the hardest hitter pound for pound in the sport. Gervonta Davis, 28 knockouts out of 30 victories. That shows you that. People take the piss out of his resume sometimes, but he's got good wins, man. Frank Martin, Ryan Garcia absolutely destroyed Leo Santa Cruz, which may be his best win in my opinion, down at super featherweight with one of the best knockouts you will ever see. Pitbull Cruz, the list goes on. He's got solid world level wins, Gervonta Davis, but because he's so good, people want to see him fight the likes of Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Teofimo Lopez, Lomachenko, the very elite guys that, and if he beats them, which I believe he could be a top 5 pound for pound in the next year or so, without doubt. And now for Gervonta Davis, we've been saying it for so long, but it is really the time to do it. 29 years old, you're at your prime. The prime is probably about 27 to 34. You're bang in the middle of that, man. Go get those big wins, and you could go to pound for pound #1. But right now, he stays at number 8. Number 7, I've got Artur Beterbiev, the oldest guy on this list at 39 years old, to still be in the pound for pound top 7 at 39 years old shows you how phenomenal this guy is. I'll tell you what else is phenomenal about him. His fucking record, 20-0 with 20 knockouts. He's the only world champion in boxing with a full 100% knockout ratio. He hasn't had the pound for pound win yet, like his rival Dmitry Bivol, but he's absolutely dominated the guys he has been in with Callum Smith, my mind's escaping now, Marcus Brown, Joe Smith Jr., people like that. So again, yeah, they're not coming to my mind straight away because they're not elite, top class wins, but he just hasn't been given them opportunities yet. And the only other top class guy around his weight is Dmitry Bivol, who he is now going to fight, and that is what can see him push further up in the list. But eye test, record 20-0, 20 KOs, you have to have Beterbiev in there, man. And he's destroyed everybody with ease. There's only a couple fights where they've been competitive, Anthony Yard and Gvozdyk. But again, he's still come through it. He's still got the win. He's still won those fights clearly. So yeah, Beterbiev has looked like an unbeatable fighter so far. That's why he's at my number 7. Number 6, Canelo. Now, some people might have him higher. Some people might have dropped him lower. Some people might not even have him in their top 10 now because it's all up in the air with question marks with Canelo at the minute. A few years ago, this guy was the pound for pound #1 on the planet. There was no one really doubting that. And just since then, he's obviously took the loss to Bivol, but that was up in weight. I still dropped him a little bit though, because I don't think he just lost that fight because of the size, because Bivol isn't a massive light heavyweight. He's actually a super middleweight, sort of really in size. It was the skill and the ability of Bivol that made Canelo lose that fight. I don't think weight was the only issue. Would it be a slightly closer fight as super middleweight? I think it would be, but I still think Bivol would beat him and beat him clearly. But Canelo, and obviously since then, he hasn't really had the elite top class wins. Like some Munguia in his last fight, he's fighting Berlanga next. These are not pound for pound wins, even if you're dominating these guys. But with his resume overall, being a 4-weight world champion, everything he's done throughout his career, you still definitely got to have Canelo in your top 10. And he clings on to that number 6 space for me. But if he carries on fighting the likes of Berlanga and doesn't go for your Benavidez's of the world, he is going to drop down, or because the people below him are going to be getting those bigger and better wins, and you've got to put form into it too. Like, if Canelo doesn't fight any other pound for pound top 20s in the next year or so, I'm not going to keep him up that high, because it's also what you do for me now too. But resume wise, if you look overall, Golovkin, Plant, Saunders, Trout, Lara, Cotto, all those wins he's got, man. Obviously, being undisputed at super middleweight too, he does deserve to be in there still. Right, now on to my top 5, the creme de la creme. These 5 here for me are a little cut above the rest at the minute. These are the ones that I would say are super elite. Everybody in my top 10's elite. Even my honourable mentions that I mentioned are elite, but these are the super elite, the very best fighters you can get on the planet right now. The guys you want to go and watch if you're a young fighter studying to get better. The guys you just want to go and watch if you just want to see some beautiful boxing. So let's give you my first one. Number 5, Jesse Bam Rodriguez, 24 years old, the youngest guy on this list. Absolutely phenomenal what he is doing at his age, man. Already a two-weight champ. Already beat the likes of Sonny Edwards, Carlos Cuadras, Sauron Visai, Estrada, a Hall of Famer and all-time great. He battered and stopped in his last fight. He's not just beating these guys, he's picking them apart. He's outclassing them. He's hurting them. He is one of the perfect fighters to watch, in my opinion. He's one of my favourite fighters in boxing right now. And at 24 years old, he's only getting better, and he'll go up for at least another couple weights. He is one, I believe, has pound for pound #1, pound for pound king potential within the next 2-3 years. He is phenomenal, Bam Rodriguez. If you haven't watched him yet, go and watch him right now as soon as you finish this video, because he might be the one on this list you haven't heard of as much, but you definitely need to make sure you check him out. Now, number 4, I've got Dmitry Bivol. People might go, should you really have him this high? He's only really got the high ratings he's got because he beat Canelo, who was coming up in weight. But as I said earlier when describing Canelo's plays, Bivol beat him due to skill and ability, movement, IQ. He just completely outclassed Canelo. It wasn't much to do with size, but I do understand he hasn't got them pound for pound wins other than that yet. Against the actual light heavyweights, his other really good wins, Zurdo Ramirez, was a guy coming for super middleweight, but is now a cruiserweight. So size-wise, he is fucking massive compared to Bivol. That is a really good win. And then other than that, they've been lower down sort of wins. But again, with Bivol, like Beterbiev, there's not much competition at light heavyweight other than them two. Thank fuck they're fighting now. But if I said Beterbiev passes the eye test, Bivol definitely does, man. He is one of the most free-flowing, skillful, elite boxers you will ever see when it comes to range finding, footwork, ring IQ, all of it, man. He is phenomenal. So I think without doubt, he deserves that number 4 spot. Number 3. Now, I think everybody's got these top 3. It just depends what order you have them in. I've got Naoya Inoue at number 3. 27-0, 24 KOs, 31 years old, 2-weight undisputed champion. I said about Nakatani, another Japanese guy on this list. Inoue the same, but maybe even more. The power this guy carries for his size is phenomenal, man. He's about 5'5", weighs about 8.5 stone, and he is knocking motherfuckers out like he's a mini Deontay Wilder, but with so much more fucking skill, ability, and he just seems to be getting better and stronger every weight he goes through, and that is what pound for pound is really about. He's got Manny Pacquiao vibes about him. Like, he's already been a 4-weight world champion, gone through 5 weights. He didn't go for the world title at one of them for some reason. I bet he wishes he did now. I think he went straight from light fly to super fly, so obviously missed that flyweight. If he gets another 2-3 weight divisions, he'll be wishing he did, so he beat Manny Pacquiao's record, because he ain't going to be able to drop back down to fly now and get a title there. He could be a 5-weight champ now instead of 4, go through another 3 weights, and you've beat Manny Pacquiao's record. And it sounds crazy, but Inoue could be an 8-weight world champion. When you look at it, what's he at now? Super bantam. He could go to feather, beat the likes of Nick Ball or someone like that. Then super feather, you're pushing it a little bit as super feather, but there's not really those superstar elite guys there right now. He could pick up a world title there. Lightweight, I do believe, would be his limit. Like, you put him in with Gervonta Davis or Shakur Stevenson or William Zepeda. He just could be too small, unfortunately. But he's a guy that dares to be great, so don't rule him out going to try to do that in the next few years when he runs out of motherfuckers to beat up at super bantamweight and featherweight. He's that good. He's a cut above the rest of all the weights around him right now. Number 2, Terence Bud Crawford. People might have dropped him a little bit after his last performance, but that was at his 4th weight division. Going up in weight, fighting probably the best informed fighter at the weight at the time, getting the win. Clearly, it's what pound for pound is all about. People say it was a close fight with Madrimov. I don't think it was. I still thought he won clearly. It wasn't vintage Terence Crawford. He didn't dominate. He didn't get the stoppage win like he usually does. But he still outclassed Madrimov and beat him wide on the points. I had it 116, 112. As I said, 41-0, 31 KOs, undisputed at welterweight, undisputed at light welterweight. Battered Errol Spence, the biggest rival, was meant to be the biggest test of his career. Took him apart like it was fucking easy work. It was easy work. Terence Crawford is what pound for pound is all about. So yeah, at 36 years old, he's still my number 2 pound for pound. Onto the pound for pound king. You know who it is now. He needs no introduction, but I'll do it anyway. The heavyweight king of the world, the pound for pound king of the world, Alexander Usyk. 22-0, 14 KOs, got one of, if not the best resume in boxing right now after just 22 fights. Joshua, Fury, Bradis, Marco Hart, Gassiev, the list goes on, man. He was a road warrior at cruiserweight, went round and beat all the other champions in their home countries, got up to heavyweight, beat the top boys in the weight, Joshua and Fury. Both guys, people made him the underdog against in the first fight. Both guys outweighed him by like 3 stone, and he's absolutely battered, outboxed and pummeled and hurt both of them. That is what pound for pound is all about. Like, you look at all the guys below, they've gone through the weights, but they're weighing the same pretty much, other than maybe about 5-6 pound against the guys they're fighting when they go up in weight. He's got up in weight to heavyweight, and he's fighting people who are like 4 inches, 5 inches taller than him, and are outweighing him by about 3-4 stone. It's absolutely crazy. That is the definition of pound for pound. And he's not just beating these guys, he's outclassing them, as I said. He's pummeling them. Look what he did to Fury in round 9. A guy who everyone said had a really good chin, who Usyk didn't have the power to hurt. That fight should have been stopped. And Fury is one of the best fighters of this generation, one of the best heavyweights of all time still. People are overlooking him now because of what Usyk's done to him, and he hasn't performed as much lately. But a few years ago, people were saying Fury was one of the best heavyweights of all time, and Usyk's just gone in there, obliterated him, and Usyk is one of the best heavyweights of all time. You could put him in any era at cruiserweight and at heavyweight, and he would be able to mix it with the very best. I'm talking, and this might be bold here, your Ali's, your Lennox Lewis, your Evander Holyfields, and people like that. Alexander Usyk could hang with all them guys. Pound for pound king of this era, one of the best pound for pound of all time. Now over to you people. Do you agree? Do you agree Usyk is the pound for pound king? Or do you believe it's Crawford and Inoue? Or is there someone else you've got at number 1? I'd be surprised right now, but it could be. It's all about opinions with this. It's all subjective. Is there anyone I missed from my top 10 and you're thinking, why the fuck have you not got in there? Let me know in the comments. Would you change any of the order? Is there any guys that I've got way too low or any guys I've got way too high? Let me know, people. Chat to me in the comment section below. And if you like my videos, please like and subscribe. And stay tuned, because next week on Saturday, I'm going to be dropping my best 10 greatest fighters, not of this era, but of all time. So that's definitely going to be an interesting one that causes a lot of debate. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching.